Hi, friends.
All right, ready for this?
Ready for this?
This is so exciting. We're together.
Back at it.
Back at it. Hey, brother.
Hey, Al. How you doing?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good. I'm
Yeah.
glad. I missed you being in person. I'm glad to be here. Even though I just walked off the plane.
Yes, you did.
And we're kind of in a hurry for you to get out of here.
She's just dressed up because she wants to show you guys she's a pilot.
No, because
Not a flight
you were
attendant.
hurrying me.
I know. I have a hair appointment.
Yeah, so.
She kept saying hair appointment. I'm like, I just have a haircut.
Same thing. Anyways, welcome back to another episode of Siblings in Crime. I'm Allie Rossell.
And I'm Blake Murphy.
And just as it sounds, we are siblings who love true crime.
Yep.
And finally, we're in person. So we're just talking about that. Tell me about your week.
My week was good. I flew to Bellingham, which was very pretty. I was surprised. It was a clear day.
You're surprised.
I wasn't surprised. I just wasn't expecting it to be that pretty. Like islands and stuff.
Volcanoes.
And like Mount Rainier was like poking through all these clouds. It was pretty cool. Okay. So yeah. And then like Bellingham happened to be like clear skies, so you could see all the prettiness. But nice. Yeah, it was really cool. And then I've just been sick, so yeah, just trying to get better.
Well, I hope you start feeling a little bit better. It kind of stinks flying with sinuses. I feel like it just keeps you sick.
Yeah, I thought I would be better, and I think it made it a little worse.
Yeah.
But I'm doing fine. Tatum's sick, too. So.
Oh, really? Dang it.
Yeah.
I hate that. Well, this is like the first time me and Brett are actually healthy.
Yeah.
Usually we're the sick ones. I know. So I was in Utah the last 5 days, which is like the longest stretch in so long. And it was so awesome. I was so happy. I was so sad I was coming back. But it was so much fun.
We'll get some pizza tonight.
Okay. I always tell Brett, like, every time I go to Arizona, I just like want to eat pizza because you're the only one that will eat it with me.
Yep.
But yeah, outside just being in Utah, we both had 17-mile runs on Saturday. Marathon's coming up June 21st or something. So that's basically all we've been doing.
That's basically when I go for second year pay.
Oh, woohoo! So happy for you.
Yeah, so I actually make money going to Des Moines.
Yeah, seriously.
I don't lose money.
I have my proficiency check coming up right before our marathon, so I'm going to be peeing my pants.
You should have done it after.
And there wasn't an option.
Oh.
That would have been nice, though. Anyways, well, for this week's case, I actually want to start with talking about a study that I actually heard quite a few times. I don't know if you're familiar with, like, conformity social experiments. Have you heard of any?
Yeah.
Have you?
Like raise your hand if it's the right answer.
Yeah, like
and
that's
all the wrong answer and everyone raises their hand, so they just raise their hand too.
Peer pressure?
I guess.
There was a social experiment that I thought was super interesting. And it was done on a couple different people. But the one I watched, this woman, she went into like a waiting room. And there were other patients who were actually actors in the waiting room. Where every time a bell went off, all the actors stood up. And
I saw that.
Yeah, and she thought it was super weird. After like 3 beeps, she starts standing up with the rest of the actors. And then one by one, the actors are getting called into the doctor's appointment. Mm-hmm. And so she's the only one. I was like,
I'm just imagining it.
So I'm trying to get your attention. You look like you're so dazed out.
No.
Go back and watch that. That was funny. So one by one, people are leaving. She ends up being the last one in the room. Another person comes in, not an actor. And the woman, when the bell goes off, she stands up. Now we have not an actor. He also stands up. He's like, well, what's going on? He actually asked her. She didn't ask anyone else.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't know. Everyone else was doing it. And he was like, okay. So one by one, new people come in. And now it's a whole new group, no actors. All of them are standing to the beep. So crazy that people just do that. Do you think that you would fall for that type of social experiment?
Probably not.
I don't think I would either.
I'd probably be like, I don't want to stand up.
You just frankly laziness.
No, I would just tell them, wait, why are we doing this? I don't want to.
Right. Well, especially if someone said, I don't know, everyone else is doing it. I'm like, if we weren't told to, I'm not just gonna. I don't know, but who knows when you're in the situation?
Yeah, you would do it. You would do it.
Me?
Yeah.
Rude. But like, how often do people just go with the flow? And like, to what extreme would people do this, right?
To the absolute extreme.
Just insane things. Like, everyone else is doing it, Mom. If our whole family was leaving, let's say I was like, okay.
My whole family left already. I'm by myself.
But I meant like together. So what would it take for us to convince you to leave with us if we said we were in danger? Do you think you'd automatically believe us? Just go with the flow?
Maybe if you said we were in danger.
You'd just be like, all right, hop in the car.
Yeah, I just think someone's after us. I don't know. But I'd probably ask questions, not just like, okay, I'll go with you. We're in danger.
Yeah. That's the thing. I think a lot of it is how much you trust the person.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is how much understanding you have. Mm-hmm. But in today's case, we have an entire family who, by no known reason, just got up and left, leaving nothing behind but questions.
Whoa.
This is the story of the Tromp family runaways. You ready for this?
Yeah.
All right, let's roll. It was August 29th, 2016. I just realized I was going to look up the pronunciation of all the cities. I'm so bad with that, and it just hit me that I didn't do that.
Is it Washington?
You would think everyone's going to be mad at me because it's Australia, and you think I would know some of these popular
Everyone's
places.
going to get mad at you?
All 10 of you will hate me. It was a chilly Monday morning in Sylvan, Victoria, a small farming town nestled about 25 miles outside of Melbourne. Here, life moved at a slower pace. Most days were predictable. The hum of tractors in the distance, neighbors waving as they passed on narrow dirt roads. This is where the Tromp family began their mornings. Mark Tromp, a hardworking man in his early 50s, ran the family's earth-moving business with his wife, Jacoba.
Nice.
And their 3 adult children, Rihanna, Mitchell, and Ella. They were a close-knit group, not flashy, not dramatic. And some people kind of describe this family as workaholics. They had their own berry farm. They just sort of kept their heads down, worked hard.
Yeah.
And something was off on this morning right from the bat.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. At some point that morning, without warning, the Tromps abandoned everything. Their passports, their credit cards, their mobile phones, all left behind, carefully placed in the house like they might be back in an hour or two. They packed into Ella's silver vehicle and hit the road. No destination, no real plan, just a frantic, silent escape, leaving behind a neat, lived-in house, thriving business, and a town full of people who had no idea that they were actually up and already leaving. At first, it didn't look like
That's weird because they're not like, they like just work and they're just like mind their own business. It's not like they're like all about, they involved in crazy things too. So that's kind of weird.
Right. It's not like the neighbors are looking at them and be like, oh, this is them every weekend. Like, we never see them, but they have a farm to attend to. It's not like you can just leave very easily. You have animals and plants. Like, unless you have someone that is going to go take care of their home, it's very shocking to just leave it as is.
Yeah.
So it's almost like they kind of vanished in midair because no one noticed them leave. All of a sudden, they were just gone, and no one knew why. The Tromps family's station wagon rolled out of Sylvan and headed north out into the wide open stretches of rural Australia, which is the number one place Brett wants to go to. But I'm like, everything in Australia is trying to kill you. I feel like I only hear horror stories about Australia.
I don't know.
But like all the animals, everything poisonous is there.
Mm-hmm.
At first, there was nothing outwardly alarming.
Excuse me.
Goodness.
I wasn't expecting it.
There was nothing outward alarming. No like screeching tires. There's no 911 calls. It doesn't seem like there was panic per se. But inside the car, a storm was kind of brewing. Mark and Jacoba, normally the anchors of the family, were agitated, whispering, checking over the rearview mirror, scanning the road like they expected someone to appear at any moment. Mark, the dad, was convinced they were being tracked. Their phones, their bank accounts, everything about their lives had been compromised, and technology could not be trusted.
Did he like have some kind of loan with like a scary loan shark or something?
At this point, we know nothing.
Okay.
We don't know anything. We know that he's questioning everyone, everything, potentially his children.
Sounds like the mafia's after him or something.
It seems dramatic.
Yeah.
I agree.
Especially like that's like a farmer, like he's just minding his own business. It doesn't seem like he's involved in like sketchy deals and needs to run away or something.
Right. Like, what could this quiet guy be so involved with that he needs to get his family out of town immediately?
Yeah.
Scary.
Yeah. Get out of town.
At some point, Mark realized that his middle child, his only son,
Is
Mitchell,
missing.
No, he's in the car. The 5 of them were together. Mitchell had not followed the rest of the family when he was told to like leave their personal belongings. And Mitchell actually had his phone with him.
Uh-oh.
In the weight of whatever fear was pressing on them, Mark instructed his son to toss his phone out the window.
Oh, dang.
And they were about like 30 kilometers away from home. And so Mitchell obeyed. It was the only way to make sure his family was comfortable with him being there. And chucked his phone out the window on their drive out of town. I was like, that just highlights how paranoid Mark's already feeling. They just left. He's like, you have your phone. Get rid of it right now.
Toss it.
I don't know. Would you do it? I feel so weird.
If I believed that we were actually in danger, yeah. But not if we were like, I don't know, doing whatever they're doing.
I know. And I keep trying to think of us in that situation with like our parents. I was like, if dad was so adamant, like, get rid of your phone, dad would not, one, give us choice. He'd be like, your phone's out the window. We're like, okay. Yeah. But I feel like because he's never shown any sign of paranoia, any sign of, I don't know, anything, like, he'd be a reliable source to follow.
Yeah.
But this only began Mitchell's doubt in his family's stress. Doesn't sound like Mitchell's getting any answers as to why they're on this sudden road trip. And so somewhere along the way, a few hours into the drive, Mitchell made a decision. At around 7 o'clock the next morning, so they left Monday sometime in the afternoon. Tuesday, 7 a.m., they drove through the night. Upon reaching the New South Wales town of, see, this is like a common place. Bathurst? I think that's a common place.
Maybe you're just saying it so bad I don't even know what you're saying.
That's probably true.
I'm just kidding.
It's highly likely. 800 kilometers away to the west of Sydney, Mitchell left the family. He left far away from whatever spiral his family had fallen into. And when the family realized that Mitchell was gone, they didn't turn back for him, didn't blink an eye. They just kept moving along.
Wow.
They simply just cut him loose, which kind of sad for Mitchell, but he also was like, something strange is going on. I don't feel comfortable being with them right now. And keep in mind, all 3 kids are in their 20s. I think the oldest daughter is 29, Mitchell is 25, and the youngest, Ella, is 22. So they're all adults. He's 25. He doesn't have a phone, doesn't have a license, anything with him right now. But, I mean, if he wanted to make his decision, it's just going to be hard to get back home with none of those things. Mm-hmm. There was no search party, no panic. It was like he had simply just like walked away.
Vanished.
Walked away from everybody. So now the Tromps were down to 4 and they just kept driving. No phones, no maps, no clear destination.
It's weird that he's just like okay with him being gone.
I would think the same thing.
It's like, no, don't leave. You're going to die or something.
Yeah.
But he's like, all right, we're moving on.
Yeah. You would think that if Mark was as much danger as he feels, he would be like, the whole family has to stick together.
Yeah.
But maybe he only felt in danger. Maybe he's like, oh, he's maybe safer without us. Mm-hmm. But by now...
Or he's crazy.
Yeah. By now, the Tromps had been on the road for nearly a full day, like 24 hours. No news, nothing outside in the outside world they're hearing from. Just down to the 4 of them, Mark, Jacoba, Rihanna, and Ella. They're locked together in a slow boiling pressure of fear. And it wasn't just fear anymore. Like we said, it was kind of more paranoia, like thick, contagious, spreading from one family member to the next. Was it possible that the Tromps had experienced some sort of psychotic disorder together? I was thinking about all the different theories that have come from this. And I think about like when you watch a scary movie with your friends, you know how it's like only scary if you're with the right people?
Yeah.
Like some people are like laughing or stuff and you're like, oh, now it's not scary.
Yeah, the right place too.
Yeah. You have to like set the scene.
Yeah.
And then like if one person starts getting like nervous, all of a sudden it's like contagious and you're a little jittery.
Yeah.
So as I'm like thinking about different theories of like what's going on with this family, that kind of idea keeps being brought up of like contagious creeps throughout their whole car.
Yeah.
It's kind of a rare phenomenon where a dominant personality, usually a parent, develops a delusion so strong that others in close quarters begin to believe it too, but it's not unheard of. And
I recently heard a story about a lady and her, I think, husband, who is the daughter's stepdad, thought that they were like on the run from like some kind of criminal organization. They were like spies, and and then this daughter like called them out for it, and they still believed it. It was weird.
I think I
It's
know
like
what you're
same
talking
thing.
about.
It's like a podcast too.
I think I might have
I can't
heard
remember.
that.
I need to look.
And like the parents fully believed it, but the daughter didn't anymore.
Yeah.
I feel like that sounds familiar. It seems like something like this could be happening.
Yeah, and I think the mom like cut her off too. It's like, dang, they're like intense about
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dang, that's kind of sad.
Something I don't remember.
It's crazy
I may
how
have made that up.
how powerful the mind is.
Yeah.
You start tricking yourself, tricking others, you can go down a spiral really quick.
Mm-hmm. Or you can, oh freak! I was gonna say Brett's podcast. I couldn't remember it.
Getting after it.
Or you could get after it.
Yeah, true. Nice. True. Whatever was happening with the family, they were slipping pretty quick. And by the second day, so we're still on Tuesday, Mitchell left at 7 a.m. By later in the evening, they were now at a popular tourist spot. So it should be a well-known name.
That you can't say.
That I can't say, called the Jenolan Caves. And I think that's right.
Good.
And this is where like the second hit came to the family. This is where Ella and Rihanna, the two Tromp daughters, decided that they have also had enough. Somewhere between the confusion and fear, they too broke away. To do so, they did whatever they could, and that led them to actually steal a car.
Whoa. They stole they were trying to get away, so they stole someone's car?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they don't have phones or anything.
They don't have phones. They don't have any really way to get transportation.
Yeah, probably yeah.
And it was their escape, trying to get back home.
It's like, all right, our parents are crazy. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, that'd be so conflicting. Like, obviously your parents need help. Mm-hmm. But also, I can't imagine that internal pull trying to figure out what to do. But I feel like stealing a truck probably wasn't the best option. But if you feel like it
must be
life or death situation.
Yeah, they must not have had many options.
Right. And so they left their parents, Mark and Jacoba, standing alone in the middle of nowhere. The Trump family wasn't just running more, they were unraveling one by one. So these Trump sisters, they have always been like the steady ones. They were smart, grounded. Rihanna worked in the family business. Ella, literally the youngest, 22, ran her own landscaping company. I was like, you guys are freaking beasts.
Yeah, landscaping company.
Hard-working family. They
Yeah.
weren't impulsive or dramatic. They didn't scare easily.
Sketchy.
Yeah, they seemed very level-headed, like rock stars.
People of the earth.
Yes. Earth movers,
Yes.
some say.
Earth movers, farmers, and landscapers.
Yeah. But now as they drove away from their parents in a stolen vehicle, something had clearly changed. They were scared. The people that were supposed to be their most trusted source, like their parents, were now leading the family into some bizarre delusion, escape. I don't even know what to call it. But Ella, who was notably worried about her horses back at the farm, she was like, I got to get back to those horses. She actually separated from her sister Rihanna in Goulburn to make a trek back home. So she's like, hey, you find your own ride. I'm going to go back home. And she actually even beat Mitchell home because she was driving her stolen vehicle. Yeah. And Mitchell had to take multiple trains trying to get home. So she actually beat him back. And there, the cops were waiting. Someone had reported something weird going on with the family. Yeah. They're MIA.
Their animals are everywhere.
Their animals got out the fence. No one knows where they're at. I don't know.
They haven't watered their plants.
Yeah, something. I guess it was obvious enough where the cops showed up. They had found the doors unlocked. The station wagon was missing, but other cars had been left behind with the keys still in the ignition. Passports, phones, and bank cards belonging to the family of 5 were discovered inside, along with piles and piles of
They didn't bring their bank information? Like, they didn't bring their credit cards and debit cards? Weird.
So I was like, how are you paying for fuel?
Yeah, probably cash.
I would
Cash
assume
money.
so.
So they don't get detected.
Probably. Like I was saying, though, they had piles and piles of financial and business documents laying out. They were neat and ordered, almost as if someone had been searching for something. That's what police told the Daily Telegraph. Ella was questioned when she got there by police, and she actually turned herself in a car theft. She was like, "Hey, by the way, not my car." She couldn't
They're
fully,
like, okay.
she couldn't fully explain why they had left or what had driven them to steal the car. Her answers were foggy. Her memory was foggy. Everything was confusing, and she's like,
I wonder
"I
if
don't
they
know."
took something.
They
Or like the dad like gave him some kind of drug.
the kids.
Yeah.
That's a scary thought.
Yeah, because if she's like confused and dazed of what they were doing.
They're like, you drove 800
like, maybe
kilometers and you don't remember anything.
And like also like they maybe like wore off. That's why they're like, what are we doing?
Yeah. That's
Maybe some crazy berry that they were growing.
That's a crazy thought.
All right.
But because she didn't have any clear answers, they just want to find the rest of the family. And Rihanna, the sister she left back, she never made it home with Ella. After separating from Ella, Rihanna was actually found by a man named Keith, who discovered her lying in the back of his utility vehicle near Lake George. She was unable to identify herself or explain how she got there. Keith told Goulburn Post, quote, "I turned around and saw 2 legs stretched across the back between my seat and the floor. She was lying on the floor," he said. "I got an extreme shook." I was like, I would literally pee in my pants. I would be screaming. I can't imagine how long I would be screaming for.
Yeah.
That's like my biggest fear. Every girl's biggest fear.
Yeah.
You always check the back seat.
But then it's a girl. You're like, whew, thank goodness.
I know. Yeah, for you, I would still pee my pants.
Yeah.
And so, of course, he immediately calls officials. He's like, "What's going on with this woman?"
Yeah.
She was taken to Goulburn Hospital for evaluation and care. This behavior, the car stealing, nothing was their normal behavior.
Yeah.
Of course. And as the police started to get filled in on the chaos of what was going on the last couple of days, regardless of how hard they tried, they could not make sense of it. Same with everybody else in the whole world trying to figure it out. But the story was just so absurd that they could not piece it together. Even now that they have Mitchell, Ella, Rihanna's like in the hospital, so she's not very much talking right now. Still, despite it all, the cops have like the main question of if the Tromps were in danger, like what is their threat? So now it's their job to peel back, say what is going on to make these people act in such wild behavior.
Yeah.
They began the hunt for signs of violence. Any footprints that could be found on them, like digital footprints, any like trace that would show that someone is after them. In their minds, there had to be some sort of threat, messages, break-ins, a suspicious car near the property, literally anything they're trying to dive into, but nothing came up. Literally absolutely nothing. Detectives knew that the obvious key to the mystery laid with the husband and wife. So to find answers, they need to obviously find the rest of the family. And that afternoon, these 2 were officially reported missing. With Ella now, they're kind of in police custody. She was actually charged for stealing the car. This was actually temporary. It's kind of nice. Ultimately, it was withdrawn because the owner was understanding and dropped charges, which is cool. But she was like actually charged. I think she had to go to court, like do the whole 9 yards.
Dang.
That's a side story. But she was held responsible for stealing the car. Rihanna, she was hospitalized, and after her psych eval, she was actually not charged for stealing a car because she was not in the right mental state. She's still in the hospital at this point, and Mitchell was kind of alone at the farm, and he was the one that was more of the spokesman for the family. Spokesman. He made a couple statements, but he was very good at keeping his family matters private, which still left more questions. So only 2 members of the Tromp family remained unaccounted for. We have Mark and Jacoba, the parents. Just 2 people, middle-aged, seemingly rational, swallowed up by rural Australia. Police expanded the search because now they had to find these 2. Helicopters combed open areas. Ella and Mitchell took to the media. Mark's only son, Mitchell, worked with journalists, giving them any details he could, while, like I said, protecting the family's privacy. He later told reporters, quote, "I just had to go with the family because I wanted to see where they were going. I couldn't leave them." But he eventually left. We know he did. He peeled away. He was the first to break off, followed by his sisters, not because of disdain for his parents, but rather out of concern. In that same article, he's quoted saying, "I've never seen anyone like this or anyone conduct themselves in this way. I just really want my dad to be found. He's not dangerous. He's my mate, my father. I love him." And so at least we know that the kids weren't in a hostile environment. It doesn't sound like they were
held.
Yeah, like held captive in any form. Like they are genuinely concerned for their missing parents. Locals were asked to report any unusual behavior, or asked people to report an unusual behavior. And after what felt like an eternity, Jacoba eventually turned up, but not in the way that would make things any less strange. She was actually found wandering the streets of Yas on Thursday, September 1st, alone, confused, and disoriented.
What the heck?
So another 4
Why is everyone
days after
confused
leaving.
and disoriented?
That's what's freaky to me.
It sounds like drugs. But like they'd probably catch it in the hospital, but
yeah. She was also taken to the hospital under the Mental Health Act, and like no crime had been committed, but no one could explain why she was there or how she'd gotten so far from home without her car. She didn't know like how she got separated from her husband. Like, why is she out wandering around without him, without the car? How'd she get in that position? Questions were piling up faster than answers, but Jacoba just remained silent. She had nothing to say.
Freaky.
As for Mark Tromp, he was still missing. The man who may have started all, the one who convinced his entire family to flee their lives and disappear, was now the last one unaccounted for. For a tense few days, it felt like literally anything was possible. Mm-hmm. That Mark might never be found, that the strange saga might end with one final unsolved vanished act. But 5 days after the disappearance began, a break came from a tip. Mm-hmm. A man matching Mark's description had been spotted on foot walking along a road in Wangaratta.
Nice.
I think.
Okay.
Right next to an airport.
Maybe he ran out of money. He couldn't fill up his car anymore.
Oh, that's a good point. I was thinking that. I was like, why the heck is he on foot? He's 2 miles away from home, just walking along a road near an airport. Yeah.
He made it back home?
He's 200 miles away from home.
You said 2 miles.
Oh, we're going to listen back. 200 miles away from home. And when officers came and approached him, he booked it. He ran. He fled into nearby bushland and was later spotted running erratically through local property. He was shirtless, sweating, hiding his face behind a newspaper. It took literally hours to bring him in. And when they finally did, he was, as you would guess, mentally unwell. Mm-hmm. He was rambling, confused. We got a whole lot of confusion in this story today. Mm-hmm. He was not violent, but clearly deeply disturbed. It kind of leaves me wondering how the whole family got separated. And I guess you kind of answered that, like maybe he ran out of gas. Is that why he's on foot? But I'm like, how did the parents separate? Why did Mark run from the police? Like, if his whole family is away from him, like, wouldn't he be concerned where they are? Like, the police would help. Maybe he thought he was still getting chased.
Yeah, I don't know. He's losing it.
And just like that, the Tromp family mystery reached its strangest point yet. Because all 5 members had been found alive, but this question still lingered unanswered and haunting. What exactly had they been running from? Mm-hmm. As expected, Mark was thoroughly assessed by a mental health officer, but surprisingly, this did not lead him to a hospital stay like his wife and daughter. Despite the paranoia, the alleged danger, and off-the-grid behavior for over a week at this point, Mark was actually released into the care of his police officer brother and was brought to like a family member's house to get taken care of.
Yeah.
And when making his exit from like the police station to paparazzi, he gave him a nice little show of his middle finger, which cracks me up. But he was driven away, cared for, and he later released a more contrite statement apologizing for the hurt and concern caused by these events. He did pay respect to the community for like their support in helping his family, like aid his children in finding him.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was taken both ways from the people. They're like, oh, he's home, we're happy, but also what the heck were you doing?
Yeah.
And so mixed feelings were happening when Mark came home. When the dust settled, all 5 members of the family had been reunited. There were no injuries, no criminal charges were filed, aside from Ella's car theft. And from all accounts, there was no sign of drugs, cults, or outside influence that they could find.
Weird.
Just a family who had gone a little loony and then just as quickly and just as quietly returned to their lives.
Like the dad's normal now?
Yeah, he gets back into his normal self after a couple weeks.
What the heck?
But the silence that followed was almost like
More weird.
eerie.
Yeah.
I don't know
It's
what's
like, just
more
tell us what
weird.
happened.
Yeah.
So we don't know?
So we don't know much. So because no one really talked about it. The only remarks that we have are really from Mitchell and a little bit Ella. But no one comes down, sits down, like, okay, here's the collective story of what happened. Here's what happened on our timeline. This is why. No one comes forward saying anything.
Weird.
There's a couple theories. Here's what investigators and reporters try to dig through. One is threats. Police found no evidence of anyone targeting the family. No threats, no stalkers, no legal trouble, no outside danger.
No financial trouble?
And that was the second one.
Oh.
Their business. These are things
He's
that...
crushing it.
He's crushing it.
Oh.
Their earth-moving business was not failing, that's for sure.
Yeah.
There was no serious debt. There was no lawsuits against him. No criminal investigations pending. Nothing to justify a sudden disappearance. Those are the first 2 things that, like, let's look right into. These seemingly are debunked right away. Unless there's something so under the table that the cops can't find.
He's way better than them at hiding stuff.
Evidently.
Just not getting away.
Right. He gets right back a couple days later. There was no signs of forced entry like we talked about. No surveillance. There's nothing to indicate that they were forced out of their home, forced from their living situation. There's no indication that somebody was making them leave. And then, of course, the theory of the mental health crisis. Because no external threat was found, this is like the most accepted theory. Experts point to something called I always pronounce this wrong, the folie à deux, which is like shared psychosis triggered by close, high-stress relationships, often in isolated environments. And I think that's like shared between 2, or it's also like a family psychosis break. Whoever you're really close with. But the family showed no history whatsoever with this type of individual or shared behavior of mental health issues. Everyone who knows them doesn't believe that the family as a whole would have this type of mental break. But others argue that stress can do anything to you. I mean, they had a running berry farm. They managed businesses. They were pretty isolated from everyone else. They lived in like a really cute small town where it was mainly just their family together. And they were known to be workaholics. So like maybe stress had a huge factor. But that theory still fails to explain the level of coordination of 5 full-grown adults in one car and a route that spanned hundreds
Dropping
of
everything.
miles. Yeah, dropping everything.
Even phones.
Literally out the window.
Cards. Yeah.
Yeah, and they went on a road trip for hundreds of miles. And yet the family insists...
Was the car ever found?
I assume so. They're not with them. So nothing that was like stated on it.
Yeah.
The family insists that there is no long-term mental illness in their family line, and no medical conditions were ever disclosed. So it's not like we're fact-checking that, and I guess not really our place to say. But in a statement, Mitchell told the media, he says, "I've never seen anything like it. It's really hard to explain or put a word on it, but they were just fearing for their lives, and then they decided to flee. It was a buildup of different, normal, everyday events, just pressure, and it slowly got worse as the days went by."
Wow.
And because of statements like that, people were like, the
Pressure.
stress, the overwhelming responsibilities. But others still speculate, as you can imagine. There's always got to be kind of a conspiracy side. What if Mark Tromp knows something we all don't?
Ooh.
What if he's keeping quiet for a reason?
Ooh.
But to this day, no one has those answers.
What year was this again?
2016.
Oh, wow.
The Trump case may go down as one of Australia's strangest disappearance and reappearance. Yeah. Not because of what was lost, but because of what wasn't. There was like no death, no violence, no clear cause.
No
it was
drugs.
literally nothing.
Yeah.
Just a family that fled without warning and left behind one of the country's most bizarre puzzles. And that is this week's case of the Tromp family runaways.
Dang. That's kind of sad we don't get any type of anything at the end. Just confusion.
I just feel sad for them. I hope they know what was going on.
I feel like they kind of do. They just wanted to keep it secret.
Which, what you were saying earlier, it's kind of weird. Like, they're back to normal life.
Yeah.
They're just working.
Back on the farm.
Yeah.
Week later.
Yeah. All right, guys. That was kind of weird anyways. Like,
if it happens again, we know what's going on. We'll be back.
Yeah. So I'm like, I feel like I'd be nervous about all of our mental health after something like that.
Yeah.
Like, that was kind of an odd thing. But we never know if there was more to it or if it was just some random break.
Unexplainable break.
Unexplainable break.
Yeah.
That's right. So
Sweet.
Bizarre, so weird. It was so weird reading about it. I was really thinking that there was going to be more to it. So I'm like, there's no way that it just leaves us up and dry.
Yeah. Sorry for the high and dry, guys.
Yes, but still fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get too stressed. You never know what could happen.
Yep, exactly.
Anyways, for this week, do you have any not so fun facts?
Nope. Not today.
That is so sad.
I know. I'm sorry.
You better have them next week.
I will.
All right. Until then, thanks for watching this week's episode. We'll be back next Wednesday with another episode of Siblings in Crime.